Hey everyone! So it is the beginning of June, which means it is time for my June monthly garden tour. Now, since this is the first year where I'm having a full garden on the front deck where I am right now and a full garden on the back deck, I'm going to split these up into two videos because there's a lot happening on both and I want to be able to show you everything that I'm growing without making a super long video. So we're going to start on the front, which is our deck that faces west, so we get very intense afternoon sun. It's much hotter up here than it would be at ground level, and then the back deck faces east, so we get a little bit less intense morning sun there. Both my decks are about 18 by 19 square feet, although the air conditioning units are on the back deck, so I have a little bit more room in my front deck garden. So let me show you how everything is looking. May was definitely the month of planting and permanent dirt under my fingernails, but I know that June is going to be the month of just explosion in the plant sizes. So let me go show you how things are looking. So let's begin the tour in my center raised bed right here. This is the largest of all of the raised beds that I have back here, and all of my wooden raised beds are from Grownomics. In this bed, I've always done, ever since I had it, the Super Tunia Vista bubblegums in the corner. That is my must-have plant in my garden, specifically in these spots. So that is what is growing on the corners here. Then in the center, I have three different varieties, or colors, I guess, of one variety of zinnia. These are all the variety Zinderella. And the colors I have in here, which obviously you can't see it because they're not blooming, but they will be red, peach, and purple. So in this garden, I like to have just as many colors all together as possible, and I think it's working out pretty well. Now, something else that I'm trying to do better this year is leave the labels of what I'm growing in the beds, and I have so far succeeded for the most part. So what I have here in the center is Super Tunia Mini Vista Scarlet. And this is my first year, I don't know if I've ever done any Super Tunia Mini Vistas. Obviously I have the regular Super Tunia Vistas, but I don't think I've had any mini before. Also, as I'm going through this, I know some of these are going to be new for 2024. I will note that down below when I list all of my plants. But what I'm hoping for is that all of these mound together so that all of the Super Tunias are touching and it's just giant blobs of color. I'm also trying to do a better job of preventative maintenance for budworms that I'll go over in a different video, but just basically I'm using the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew once a week. It's early in the season, so I don't usually have budworms at this time anyway, so I don't know how it's doing yet, but fingers crossed, budworms don't eat all of my petunias this year. So that is what's going on in this center bed right here. Down below, I have three different pots with just more annuals. This is what I see from inside the house, so I want to make this view look as pretty as possible. So coming in closer here, well, the two gray pots, which I got from my mom, so I don't know where she got them from, those are planted up with the exact same flowers. This had my blueberry in it that did get blight, so I pulled that, sanitized the pot, and just planted it up with some annuals. And I think it's a really pretty pot that I got from Gethsemane here in Chicago, so I like having this in the front where I can see it. Now, taking a closer look at what is in the gray pots. So this one right here has three different annuals. So it has the one that I know is new for 2024, which I think is one of my favorite, is the Super Tunia Hoopla Vivid Orchid. I mean, look at those blooms. They are so pretty, and I'm usually a person that likes like single colored flowers, but now I'm loving the ones with patterns on them. Then in front here, which is not currently blooming, I have the Super Bells Double Yellow, and then in the back I have the A Romance Mulberry Nemesia. I also love the colors of those. So because there's like purples and yellows in the Nemesia, that's why I added the purple and yellow flowers here to complement that. In this center pot, this one, I just put as many colors as possible. So we have that same A Romance Mulberry Nemesia right there on the left. This is also another one of my favorites that I was super excited about. This should be out now. It wasn't one that was for 2024 only, but this is the Super Bells Prism Pink lemonade. I love it. So some of the blooms are more yellow, some are more pink, some are like the perfect combination of both. So I absolutely love those together in there. So we have purple going on here. We have pink and yellow going on here. It's not blooming yet, but this will bring us some orange color. So this, let me remember the actual name. This is the Luscious Citrus Blend of the Lantana. So that's going to be like reds and orange and yellows. And then I have some Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes Salvia right there in the back. So these two aren't blooming yet, but when they are, I'm gonna have a full colorful pot. And the inspiration, well, really for the whole garden, is basically like Lisa Frank, because I loved that growing up and all the bright colors together. So that is kind of the theme for my garden, as many colors as possible. And then this pot just has the exact same as the other gray pot. So that's what this section looks like right here. Now coming over here, I have my herb garden, but before we get to that, I'm going to swing around and we are going to take a look at my flower cart. Now you just saw me plant this up, but there are some things that are starting to be in bloom now that weren't necessarily in bloom when I did that. But I absolutely love how this is turning out, and I can't wait for all the flowers to spill over. So coming up here in the hanging baskets, I have again 2 lantanas. These are both new for 2024. These are from, can't remember if it's this one is Ball Flora or Selecta One. The tags say this was Ball Flora plant. So this one is Lantana Passion Fruit. Again, just some of my absolute favorite blooms. Look at all those colors. And then the other lantana, which I don't think was blooming when I potted this, but now is I think it's called Shamrock. It is. And this has more kind of red, orange, and yellow compared to the pink, orange, and yellow of the other lantana. But those are so pretty, and the hanging baskets are perfect for right in front. In the flower box in the center, we have 3 flowers that are also new for 2024. This first petunia here, again, one of my favorites. This is the Sweet Sunshine Magenta Sky Petunia. Then we have a mix in here. So this came mixed together. It's called the Trixie Romance in Bloom mix. And then we have another beautiful one, the Raspberry Cheesecake Petunia. These have just been blooming constantly ever since I got them sent in the mail. And even though you wouldn't think to necessarily put these together in a container, I love how they look together. So that is what's on the top here. Then on the bottom, actually, let's start back here. So I did end up potting that Morning Glory. I'm just starting to have it climb up on this side. I am concerned the pot may be a little bit small, but we'll see how it does this year. Then in the front here, I just have a plastic pot, again filled with a combination of flowers. So I have the Superbena Sparkling Rosé, which is not currently in bloom here. Then over here, I have another Nemesia. This is the A Romance Pink. I love, it's almost, I mean, it's a light pink, almost with like a light violet or lavender color. I really like that. Then my thriller in this pot, where the blooms are just starting to open, is the Luminary Prismatic Pink. And this is a phlox. So this is a perennial, I believe it was zone 3. So I'm hoping to just overwinter it in the container right here. And then here, this was just another mix from, I think it was Ball Floral Selecta One, just a mix of different Calibrachoa. This did have a really small root ball, but it seems to be doing all right. So everything in this container here is pink. Coming over here, we have the 2 Supertunia Saffron Fringes. Again, I'm not sure if I'm gonna pull one out depending on how they grow together, but right now I put them both in there. Then down here, I forget if I added this afterwards or if I showed this in the video, but I found another pot inside, so I was like, well, I need to put something in it. So I did, and it's the Superbells Double Vintage Coral. This is also one of my favorite ones for 2024. I love the color of it. I love how they look. It's not blooming yet, but hopefully soon. Same thing with this other Super Bell. So this is the Super Bell's Double Ruby. It just had some blooms on it, so we're kind of in between that right now. Up here, just covered in all of the Super Bells. This is the Super Bell's Double Redstone. Again, I'm loving the ones with the outline on them. So this is red with a little yellow outline. I think they are so pretty. Then on this side of the flower cart, this pot was actually over there in front of my center raised bed. But when I pulled the blueberry and planted up that prettier pot, no offense to this plastic pot, I decided just to move this over here. And I think it balances out that brown pot really well. So there are, again, just 4 plants. Actually, maybe 5. Oh, we'll take a look at the tags in just a second, but I just threw a bunch of different things in here to have a lot of color. So let me find the tags. So the first plant in here that is beautiful and in bloom right now is the Super Tunia Mini Vista Scarlet. So that's the same thing that's in the center of my middle raised bed. Next, not in bloom right now, is the Safari Dawn James Britannia, I think is how you pronounce that. So I'm really excited to see how this does. It's going to be pink with yellow in the center. Then next, which I think I see the buds on, is Bright Lights Horizon Sunset. So you can see those buds right there. We should get some flowers soon. That's very exciting. So those are orange with purple in the center. And then in the back, I just threw in another perennial. So this is Silver Lining Artemisia. Let me see what the zones are on this one. If it says up here, zones, Hardian zones 4 to 9. So we should be okay keeping it in a container on the deck. Again, I'm 6A. You want to do about 2 zones lower, but we can have winters that are more like zones 5. So we'll kind of see what I plan to do with that one as far as overwintering. But I can't wait again for all these colors to be in bloom at the same time. Then the last thing is my other Morning Glory that looks much better than the other one on the other side. Hasn't quite touched the cart yet, but I think we're getting pretty close. Again, the goal is to have the Morning Glory covering the canopy, which is why I planted all of these close to the front of the cart. Over here we have a sad fern that I tried putting on the back deck, kind of in more sunlight, because I thought it's morning sun, it's not as intense, it can handle it. It could not handle it. I definitely burnt some leaves. So now I've just tucked it in this corner for now, which is full shade all day, and we'll see how it does. Not really happy with it. I mean, just kind of plopped it there, no planning in place, but we have a fern. Swinging back over here from the flower cart, we have my herb garden, which I am super excited about. I just got the stand for Christmas from Gardener's Supply. It's working so much better than my last stand. The 2 on the end I got from Amazon last year, and those have worked great. So first off, I do have 2 of the Rockin' the Blue Suede Shoes salvia in these 2 black pots. I just wanted to add some flowers here as well. And I like the idea of like blue flowers in black pots, so I'm excited to see those in bloom. They are very close. Then I have, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 herbs over here. It's not the only place I'm growing herbs, but it's where most of my herbs are located. So the herbs over here, I have golden sage, I have pineapple sage, which I just got. I had it last year and I needed to make sure it was in my garden again. Oregano, mint julep, I have some chives, lemon thyme, lemon balm, dill, regular thyme, and then on this little stand over here, chocolate mint on the top, and then this basil I think is going to grow in a really unique shape. Like I think it's more tall and narrow. It's Thai basil, so I'm excited to see how that does. And on this stand over here, rosemary on the bottom and parsley on the top. I do like having this little section of herbs because I feel like seeing them all together reminds me to harvest them, whereas some that I've planted that I'll show you in just a second within other plants might get lost in the shuffle, but we will see. So that is my herb rack. Then swinging over here, I have my raspberry bush that I cut all the way back, so you can see how big it is, but I just cut that to the ground or to the top of the container in March, I think it was. And so it's put on this much growth in 2 to 3 months. I have strawberries in here, which is Buried Treasure Pink on the left and Buried Treasured Red on the right. And then I have some runners here. I'm just going to kind of see how that does. I might dig them out and put them in a different pot, but for now, they will stay there. I have my surviving blueberry plant, which we'll see how that does this year. Then I have my other raspberry bush, and this is the one where I just pruned the first year canes, which was all of them because it was a new plant last year, but the first year canes back to right below where it created the berries. So you can kind of see the difference. I mean, this one is clearly a little bit smaller, but still very close in growth to the one that I did not cut all the way back to the ground. Then, very exciting, I have an aqua pot here. This is an aqua pot light. I have not planted it up yet, obviously. I need to do that, and I will show you how I use it. But I'm so excited for this because I like to have things on my deck that I don't have to remember to water every day. I do have a drip system on most things, but I'm excited to have a pot here that you're only supposed to have to add water, like fill up the water reservoir once a week. So that will be really nice. So obviously I will fill that up with you. Then the raised bed back here is my Gomphrena bed. And I have a mix here of, trying to remember off the top of my head. So these I started from seed. It's QAS, purple, pink, carmine, and orange. Are those the only three? Or do I have some raspberry? I think I have raspberry cream in here too. I think there are 5 different varieties of Gomphrena. Obviously not yet in bloom. These are one of my later blooming flowers, I'd say, which is why I like to start them inside from seed. Then on the corners here, I have more Supertunia Vista. Let me grab the cards again. So on the corners are Supertunia. Oh, it's not a Supertunia Vista, just regular Supertunia, Royal Magenta. And then in the middle, not in bloom yet, is a Superbells Double Yellow. So I'll have magenta and yellow in this bed on the front. Then coming around over here, this is what I guess I'm considering my veggie patch, even though there are flowers and some things that are technically fruit here as well. But either way, in this first beige grow bag, which is 5 gallons, I have 2 okra plants. I probably should just do one, but I don't want more than one container dedicated to okra because we really just use it for gumbo, so they're both going in there. Then I have 1 ground cherry in this 7-gallon black grow bag, and another ground cherry in this 30-gallon grow bag with some basil and one of the, I think it's called the Sun Dipper tomato plants. This one is indeterminate, but I am going to try to keep it pruned just so there's some good airflow between all of these plants. In this middle 30-gallon grow bag, I have 5 giant binary zinnias. Then over here, I have the plants that I'm growing for the salsa challenge that I'm doing with Park Seed. So I have a jalapeno pepper in here with some cilantro. I'm not sure how the cilantro is going to do because they prefer cool weather, but I was even thinking of maybe just like rotating the grow bag so that they're not getting as much sun. Like if I turn the grow bag, boop, it'll be more shaded over there. So we'll kind of see what happens, but that's my jalapeno pepper. I have my sweet pepper and another cilantro. Then I have my determinate Roma tomato. So this one I don't have to prune, and 2 basil plants that I started from seed, along with other seeds of basil because I'm always worried I'm going to kill the things I start from seed. So I sow extra seeds just in case. Then in this beige grow bag, I have the candy cane chocolate cherry pepper, which I'm really excited about because I grew, I don't think it was the chocolate cherry variety. I think it was just candy cane pepper 2 years ago. Saved the seeds, forgot where I put the seeds. They probably got thrown away at some point. So I was excited to have another one in my garden this year. Now in this raised bed, other than what I have in the front, is the Wildflower Midwest Native Mix from Eden Brothers. And this is doing really well. I mean, I probably need to thin a bit in here. I also put my milkweed seedlings that I started in here as well. So yeah, it's just a mix of a bunch of different flowers. You can see here, we have some buds waiting to open. So that should be happening very soon. But yeah, as these grow, if I see that it's just too congested, I'll just go ahead and thin this out a little bit. Now on the corners here, I have Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, which I think I grew in this exact same spot last year. I really like the color of the jazzberry. And then in the middle in here, this is, I believe, another one that is new for 2024. And this is the Supertunia Mini Vista Ultra Marine. Just a really pretty, I mean, it is purpley, but also kind of blue at the same time. And I absolutely love the color on that one. So that is everything in this raised bed. On this side of that little pathway, I have my 2 rhubarb plants, which again had very different springs, where the one on the left grew very quickly, the one on the right not so quickly. It has started to again grow now more in the last, I'd say, week, but it needs to start growing pretty quickly because I still have flowers I need to plant and vegetables. And if that's not going to make good use of the pot, I can easily replace it. But I do love my rhubarb, so I do want to have 2 plants. It's just funny to me how 2 different plants, they're both 3 years old now, very different growth rates so far. And then obviously you can see here, I have another one of the aqua pots. So I'm going to plant this one up too. And luckily, like I said, I do still have more things I need to plant. I'm hoping I have room eventually for all of these. If not, I can give some away. I've been leaving plants on the sidewalk and people have been grabbing them, so that's been good. Down here I have ground cherries, peppers. I have another pineapple sage that I want to fit somewhere because I like it so much. I have more nemesias back there, more salvias, more gomphrena, a coneflower. I just basically need to find places for these. I think a good amount are going to go into the aqua pots. Now coming back here and trying not to step on the plants. In these 2 pots, I have dahlias, and you can see one dahlia is much further along. So I'm trying not to make this story too long and complicated, but basically I planted these 2 pots at the same time. This is a different variety than this one. This is Penhill watermelon. This one was something with the word lilac in it. This one over here never sprouted. So maybe a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, I took out the other tubers. There were eyes and everything, but there was no sign of growth on the one in here. So I took it out and I replaced it with another dahlia that I'm gonna have to look up the name of because I didn't label it in here and I really should have. I hope I have the tag somewhere. Either way, this one is actually starting to sprout. So there's a sprout there, but that's why this one is so much further behind than this one, because this one I started inside 2 months ago now. I don't know, time flies, maybe a month and a half. This one only been in there for a few weeks. So that is the difference between those 2 plants. Down in front here, I have my potatoes, which so far I have been remembering to add more soil as they grow, but I mean, these are just doing fantastic over here. I think I planted 3 in each, or did I do 4 and 3? 2 and 3. That's why it's good to have videos to remember how many I planted in each. I know there's something up here, but it didn't sprout. So everything's growing in the back there. This seems to be more evenly distributed here, which is great. And then back here, I have another bed that is full of flowers. The back row there are my sunflowers, Summer Rich Province, I think is what they are called, Sunrich Summer Province. These are going to be single stem. I grew them here last year. I have to thin them still. But basically these grow up, and in the fall, I cut off the blooms, tie 3 together each because there's going to be 9 total, and use them as a trellis for my peas. In the center row, I have my mystery flower, a straw flower, or not straw flower, a status soiree mix. So I don't know what color status that's going to be. Then I have another mystery seed, another status, another mystery, another status, another mystery. I don't know what these are going to be. I don't know if they're still going to be a type of marigold, just not one that I'm used to seeing in the garden, but I still have no idea. So if you're looking at this and you're like, okay, now I know what it is, definitely let me know. In the corners here, again, I have the Supertunia. This one is the Vista Fuchsia. And then in the center, I have the Super Bells Double Orange. So in all of my larger raised beds, I have petunias on the ends to trail over, and then a smaller, either Super Bells or mini Supertunia Vista to kind of fill out the center. So I'm excited to see how all these look when they fill in. I have my other Penhill watermelon dahlia here. I have the other one that I started, again, that I need to look up the variety of, and you can see a tiny sprout and some fluff, so this one is growing. Now down here in this pot was the tuber I removed from this pot that I actually did see a tiny amount of growth, but since I wanted to have like the same colors on each side in these pots, I put it in here to see if it will continue to grow. Nothing is poking through the soil yet, so I don't know, but this one was lilac thyme. I again need to figure out what you are. Then, oh, I almost forgot my Gomphrena. So this is 3 of the Truffula Pink Gomphrena. I put 3 in this size pot last year. I think the pot is about 12 inches in diameter. 3 is way closer than would be recommended spacing wise in a pot this size, but I did it last year and I loved how full it was. So that's what I'm doing this year. Then last over here, I have this cart that I impulse bought during the winter that I need to figure out what I'm going to do with. So this one I have to plant up. I have some plants here that I might try to squeeze in, and I think this pumpkin really needs to be planted soon and hit with some fertilizer. This is the pumpkin True. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, but that is a pumpkin plant, 2 tomato plants, a strawberry plant. I don't know what's going to happen here yet, but we'll see. And that is everything that is going on in my garden right now. It already looks so beautiful to me. I can't imagine what it's going to look like in another month. So that is how my front deck garden is looking in June. I will link down below the videos of the past monthly garden tours, both the playlist for this year, so you can see how it looked last month, and for the previous year, so that if you are interested in seeing how my garden looked in 2021 and 2022, and some of the differences, those will be down below as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video where we head to the back deck.